Hi, folks. This is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D., for the Institute for Dialectical Metarealism. Let's get rolling. I wanted to read a paragraph from my book that I just authored about a day and a half ago or so. It reflects my own thoughts on what happened, uh, why we have the situation that we have right now with Trump being elected or reelected president of the United States again, and the possible implications of that. Now, bear in mind, I am a nonpartisan person. I am neither a Democrat nor a Republican, and I'm also not a member of any other political party. So my statements are not either for or against one candidate or another. They do, however, raise a concern, and you will see what that is in just a moment. Then after I finish reading that, I will take out some notes, which I don't usually do, but I want to make sure I get this right. So I will take out some notes and then read to you what I have from those notes a bit. I'm not going to rely upon them extremely, but I will share them a bit. Okay, here is the passage. You should be able to see it. It's right in the middle of the screen here. It is currently November 7th, 2024 at 3:44 a.m. So actually less than 24 hours ago. Central Standard Time in the US. I have been reflecting on this joke for more than a day. I am entirely nonpartisan and did not support Harris, Trump, or any other presidential candidate. As always, based upon my principles, I did not vote. Nevertheless, Harris, born in 1964, might have had the easiest job in American political history. And yet, she lost to a twice impeached former president and multiple convicted felon, Donald John Trump. That will forever remain Harris's legacy. Why? I suppose there are several reasons, but assuredly, one of the major ones was her undying support for Israel and its wars on the third and fourth worlds of Greater West Asia, the Middle East. As far as I am concerned, she should find a rock and hide under it for the remainder of her life. Even that may be too much comfort for the soon-to-be former Vice President Harris. What else is there to say? For all intents and purposes, Harris had the presidency handed to her on a platter, and she literally defeated herself. That is all I wanted to read from my book. Now I will switch over to my notes. I'm not going to read them precisely, but I will rely upon them to a degree because I don't want to leave anything out. The question is, why did she lose? Why? Well, as you all know, I assume I am a Bundist. I support the Palestinians. I love the Palestinians. I recognize the Palestinians, the Lebanese, people in the West Bank, the Jordanians, etc. as being the indigenous people of West Asia. The Israelis are not, particularly the Jewish Israelis. They are not indigenous to the area. They are colonialists. They moved there because the United Nations established the so-called State of Israel on Palestinian land, putting Palestinians into a prison camp, now two prison camps, Gaza and the West Bank, maybe even more soon, maybe Lebanon, who knows what else. But it is a real tragedy, not that Harris lost per se, at least not for the United States. Do I think that Harris would have made a better president than Trump? No. At least not in terms of Palestine. Harris would have given Bibi Netanyahu money, just like Trump will, in my opinion, give Bibi Netanyahu money. Biden supported the war, so I think will Trump, and so I think would have Harris as well. So it's not like I am mourning, not mourning. I do, however, remember the Trump presidency, and for an autistic like myself, the Trump presidency was a trial. Generally, autistics like things to remain in routine. We like predictability, generally. I know I do. I know my father was also a diagnosed autistic. He loved predictability. The next 4 years, assuming we last that long, will definitely not be predictable. If we can base it upon the first Trump presidency, and I think we can, because Trump is still the same man. Now, his speech, his acceptance speech, was nice, sort of. He talked about ending all wars. He never once gave any mention, not even a nod, to Harris or Biden. It was entirely about himself, his supporters, and how he and they will support the American people. That is unusual. You would think that a victor would be generous in victory. Donald John Trump was none of the above. Here's my concern. Trump has repeatedly attacked Antifa. He does not even know how to pronounce it. He pronounces it Antifa, which makes no sense. It is Antifa because Antifa is an acronym for anti-fascism. Logical, right? In German, it is pronounced Antifa, which again is an acronym for anti-fascism in German. I don't know German, so I will not attempt to pronounce anti-fascism in German. But he does not know what Antifa is, clearly, but he hates it. That means he hates me. With my anti-fat cap on, or one of them, that means he hates people like me. He certainly hates communists, and I am a communist. He hates my comrades, and they are communists as well, Maoist third worldists, like me. So What I fear is not the endless up and down of a Trump presidency. I don't look forward to that as an autistic because I like stability. I like predictability. And that is the last thing that you will ever get in a Trump presidency. But that is not a political issue. That is a personality issue. But again, my question is this: will Trump come after us? Will Trump come after me? Or maybe not Trump, but one of his allies, a member of his staff? If someone now sees me walking around dressed like this, and this is actually the way that I dress in public, I change my hat, change my shirt. I have a number of them. You've seen many of them. That is literally how I dress when I go outside. I do not change it. This is my standard way of dressing. People here in this part of the Rio Grande Valley don't seem to know what Antifa is. I have mentioned it, and people have a kind of blank look on their faces. They have not heard of it. This area is very, very isolated from the rest of the United States and has been for a long time. Part of it is because the interstate highway system still does not connect the Rio Grande Valley with the rest of Texas. Eventually it will. There is an interstate system here, kind of, but it's separate from the rest of the interstate highway system. That will change in time. Not soon enough. And so there is no awareness, as best I can tell here, among the majority of people of Antifa and of communism. No awareness at all. For example, about maybe 6 months ago, I was wearing a Mao Zedong cap, which I do sometimes. My neighbor said to me, "Is that Kim Jong-un, the president of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea or North Korea?" And I said, "No, that is Mao Zedong." He had no idea who Mao Zedong was. I had to explain to him that he was a long-time leader of mainland China. Otherwise, he never would have known. Was I surprised? No, not by that time. Maybe I would have been surprised if that had happened right after I moved down here, but I had already been here for a while. I know this area is cut off, sadly cut off. I know that there is no, as far as I know, no communist parties in this part of the country. Or if there are, they are very well hidden. And I am using communist parties in a very broad sense. Any communist parties. And I have looked. I can't find any. I believe that there is a branch of the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, here, because I met somebody at a Chinese restaurant who belongs to the DSA and who was active in it, a very nice trans woman who I sat down with, or she sat down with me actually, while I was eating. We met each other because her and her friends were sitting at a table adjacent to mine. We thought we might hook up, but then she told me what I already knew. As a member of the DSA, she is also a member of the Democratic Party. And I told her that is something I would never do. I could not become a Democrat. I could not become a democratic socialist for that matter either. But the fact that I would not become a Democrat was the major obstacle. And so, did I ever hear from her again? We exchanged numbers. No. I said hello to her once. No response. That was predictable. That was predictable. In addition to being a Maoist third worldist, as I've written in my notes, I am also a Bhaskarian critical realist. One of the turns, the four turns of critical realism, was what Roy Bhaskar called transcendental dialectical critical realism. I write about it in my book, Eudaimonic Utopia, which is linked in the discussion section right below this video. In transcendental dialectical critical realism, it was shortly after Roy had returned from his excursions to India. In India, Roy was transformed. He went from being essentially a non-spiritual or maybe aspiritual person to being a very spiritual person. In fact, an Advaitic Vedantist in the school of Shankara. At least that's what he said. I actually think he was wrong. I don't think that he is or was an Advaita Vedantist, but regardless, he became a Vedantist. As a result of that, he started first transcendental dialectical critical realism, which was epistemological, based on knowledge, and then the philosophy of meta-reality, which was ontological, based on reality or existence. But what I am talking about now relates to transcendental dialectical critical realism, not to meta-reality. Because in Roy's books that he wrote during that time period, there's a very strange section of one of those books in which Roy goes into his various incarnations. So I guess Roy believed in reincarnation. And he describes in detail, excruciating detail, what his life was like as that particular person. Now, I have no idea how Roy gained that knowledge. He never said anything. Did he go through a past life hypnotic regression? Maybe. Was it a dream? Again, maybe. Was it based on his practice of meditation, which he did? Maybe. I don't know. But somehow, Roy came up with this idea that he had these many past lives. He gave them names, occupations, and geographical locations. So I do not believe in reincarnation, but I do believe in the power of dreams. And I do believe that we meet the awakeners, these divine awakeners, like Eve to Adam, like the dove to Jesus, like Gabriel to Muhammad, and now like Horia to Baha'u'llah, the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith. That is their home, the Valley of Wonderment. It is a realm between this world and the world to come. I look forward to my dreams. Before I go to bed, I pray that I will be enlightened by one particular awakener, Horia. She awakened Baha'u'llah, and for some reason, completely mysterious to me, she awakened me as well, to the point where I literally remember her standing at the foot of my bed. I don't understand it because I have not met anyone else who has told me of a similar experience. And I have looked, I have really looked, regardless. As a result of these dreams, I have gained a lot of insights into spiritual things that I did not have before. And to me, one of those insights that I gained in a dream was that Trump would win. I had that dream the night before the election that Trump was going to win, that Harris would lose. I had no way of knowing that. I still have no way of knowing that, meaning how I gain that knowledge. But frequently, I will also wake up from a dream when I think I have been inspired by Horia. And I will not necessarily have a thought in my head like I did with Trump and Harris. It'll be more of a feeling. A really, really bad feeling or a really, really good feeling. Usually a really, really bad feeling. Several days ago, that happened. I woke up in the morning, actually the afternoon. My sleeping patterns are odd. And I felt like crap. I felt like crap. The whole day. The following day, I was fine, but that day was not a good day for me. I was in desperate situation, a truly desperate situation. I don't know why. I could not connect it to anything. What I do think, after having reflected upon that emotion, and always take what I say with a grain of salt, is that part of it may have related to the implications of Trump's presidency. Part of it may relate to Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, and Iran. The world right now is in a very bad state. The worst state that I have seen it in my 68 years. And I would assume one of the worst states that the world has ever been in, that I am living in right now. But I can't prove that. But it's what I feel. And so my immediate concern now, aside from the Palestinians, and they are always at the forefront of my mind, is that the Trump administration may soon come after me and people like me. Again, I dress like this openly. I make no secret of the fact that I am Antifa, that I am a communist, that I am a Maoist third worldist. That is public knowledge. Even though most people who live here have no idea what those things are, I'm sure there are some people who do. And if they see me walking around dressed like I am right now, which is how I dress all the time, I will be a sitting duck. Now, do I know if my comrades dress this way? No. I would assume not, but I don't know that. But I am kind of fearless when it comes to things like this. I just don't care. But if I were stopped, detained, put into a prison camp, would I then care? As an autistic, definitely yes. That would be the biggest change to my routine that I could possibly imagine. And it is a change I do not want. Trump, starting in January, will be entering his second term. When you're in your first term, often you think, I assume, about being reelected, not doing anything which will turn the public against you, so they will vote for you again. Trump no longer has that worry. There are some people who have speculated that Trump will never leave office. Who knows? To me, that's a conspiracy theory. I do not necessarily buy into that. I have no idea if that will happen. I mean, I hope it doesn't, but I have seen no evidence to support the idea that Trump will never leave office. But he will be, assuming he lives that long, and no one knows how long we will live, he will be in office for the next 4 years. And that is plenty long enough. He can do a lot of damage to people like me. He can do a lot of damage to anyone else if he wants to. I mean, Trump is an authoritarian, a right-wing authoritarian, kind of like Mussolini, I guess, in a way, not exactly the same. No two people are ever precisely the same, but I would say Mussolini and Trump are pretty darn close. And I do not want to get caught in Trump's crosshairs. Does that mean I will stop dressing the way I dress right now? No. No. I will not back down. I may be afraid of my routine being lost, but I am not a coward. I am very happy to be Antifa. I am overjoyed to be a Maoist third worldist and a Bhaskarian critical realist. Those things are the centers of my life. And I can't cast them aside without casting myself aside. So I will remain the man that I am right now. But again, what that will mean for me, what that will mean for my Maoist third worldist comrades, even my critical realist comrades, who are generally leftist, not all, but generally, I have no idea. So all I can do is hope for the best. But I have no idea what the best is. maybe being arrested, detained, put into a prison camp like a place like Gaza or the West Bank is the best case scenario. Maybe that is a good thing. I can't see how it would be, but maybe it is. So I am open to anything. I thought, because of my fears of what Trump might do to my comrades and myself, that I would be in a really, really bad state of mind right now. Surprisingly, I am not. I'm not overly happy either, but I'm not depressed, and I expected that I would be. So, whatever that means, whether it means that I've received some assurances from Horia in my dreams, much as Roy Bhaskar was inspired with the knowledge of his alleged reincarnations somehow, I don't know. I have no idea why I feel as well as I do, but I feel that good. I do feel quite good. And I hope that is a good sign. For the time being, this has been Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. for the Institute for Dialectical Metarealism. We are Bund. We are Bund. We are Bund. Have a pleasant evening and an even better day tomorrow.